Hey guys, I just played a game and got into this position right here, which looked like if white captured my rook, we were about to go into a relatively interesting endgame position because it's opposite colored bishops, but I do have a couple extra pawns, and so I should be able to win, but it's probably not going to be easy. Now, when I was expecting this move, something else unexpected happened, which I'll talk about in just a second, but right now I just want to show you this game, then I'll tell you what happened, and then, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it at that point. All right, so here we go. Here's the game. I played, of course, the Latvian Gambit. Knight c3. I don't see this move too often, and so I just decided to develop and defend my pawn. Bishop b5, knight f6, trades d3. I don't really want to spend too much time here. Here I saw what I thought was a free pawn, and so I went ahead and took it, traded the queens, and took the pawn. Now, it's interesting that the reason I did this was because I wanted to take this pawn. And Stockfish says, no, don't take the pawn. You need to play bishop g4. And this is how you get into a good position. And it's a little bit weird. I guess the point is we're pinning it. We're going to take this and just mess up white's pawn structure. And Stockfish doesn't actually want me to go for the pawn. And the reason is because after rook e1, I took this. Apparently, this is good news for white. Bishop b2, rook takes e5 is supposed to be good. I thought that I was going to be fine, but I guess the idea is white gets a lot of play. And, oh, bishop a3, that's the idea. So because bishop a3 is such a big threat, of course, you know, if I go here, I'm losing my rook. And if I go here, the rook's coming on the 7th rank. This is bad news for me, really bad. So that's what white should have played. They took here, which, although it's a nice idea, it sets up the discovered attack on my king. The problem is I'm just able to castle and get away. Whereas with rook takes, I couldn't castle, right? And I had to do something else. So that was a big mistake on white's part, because now I'm just a clear pawn up at this point. So, all right, game goes on. And at this moment, I had an opportunity to win another pawn, but I had to trade off my bishop for this knight. So takes, 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 right? I'm going to get, you know, both of these pieces and lose my knight. The only issue with that, and I did it because it was an extra pawn. The only issue with that is now we are in an opposite color bishop endgame. And if white is able to make some sort of blockade later on in the game, like if, let's say, the rooks get traded off, it could be very difficult for me to win. Now, my reasoning was there's just too many pawns. Normally, the bishop definitely is going to be a draw if there's like 1 or 2 pawns that are split up that they can blockade. But if there's 3 connected, I believe that should be a win, okay? And the game went on a little bit. I was excited right around here. No, sorry, here, right here, because I was expecting white to just take my rook, and then we're going to get to see what's going to happen. Like, can I win this, or is white's king going to be able to come up and somehow make a blockade with the king and bishop and stop me from winning? And so right when I was excited about that, my opponent played this move, and I was happy because I was winning the game, but I was sad because we weren't going to get to see the endgame. His opponent played here and just resigned because they're just losing the bishop, or even check here and losing the rook. It's bad, right? So I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and make the video anyway. And what I will do is go back to this position and I will practice against Stockfish and see if I can beat Stockfish. So I don't normally do this, but I think this is going to be an interesting one. I should be able to win, but we all know Stockfish is tricky. So what I'm going to do is click this button down here, which I don't think you can see, but it's practice versus the computer. And you can see I am now playing against 3,200 rated maximum Stockfish. So let's go, Stockfish. And by the way, Stockfish did take my rook. So here we go. What is Stockfish going to do? Bishop here. Okay. So I think I want to just kind of bring the king forward without extending my pawns too much. Okay. He's trying to come here. I don't want to let that. Yeah, I don't want to let that happen, and I should be fine. I can move this. Okay. Let's go here. I don't really care too much about this, I don't think. So let's keep pushing the pawns. Now I do want to be careful about how I do this. Yeah, let's push this one next. Push this one next. Okay. Should I go ahead and trade this guy off? Probably now is a good time. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's keep all three of these guys together. Okay. So white is trying to make a pass pawn over here. I'm not really worried because my bishop is always going to be stopping it, right? Like, even if white can liquidate all these pawns, right? I don't really care. My bishop's going to be able to easily stop it. I just have to make sure that white can't create a blockade on these three pawns. So let's just bring the king up. Here we go. Let's go. Yeah, we'll go this way. Okay. Let's go check. And here. Okay. Again, I'm not worried about that. I think now's a good time to just bring this back and start pushing. Let's trade that. Okay, so he's not going to let me push because I have to go here. That's fine. That's fine. What I can do is relocate this bishop, move my king back, and then I can push. Let's do that. Okay, that's fine. We'll trade that. Oh, Stockfish is tricky. All right, so if I go there now, obviously this is what's going to happen. So I can't let that happen. I guess I will go here for now. See, what I don't want to do is just like push this, because then white sort of has a blockade with their king and bishop on my pawns. I want to leave this on a dark square so that it can support this pawn up here. But I also don't want to lose this pawn, like if I move here. Oh, but I'm threatening the bishop, right? Yeah, I guess I can do that. Now I can play this. And now... So I wanted to go here, but I wanted to defend this first. But now white is sort of forcing me to move it, which is, again, not what I wanted to play. But I guess I have to. I guess I have to if I don't lose the pawn. We'll see if this is a mistake. Okay, so white is sort of making this blockade, which is kind of what I was a little bit afraid of. Good news is I have this pawn as well. So it looks like it should be too much for black to deal with. Let's put this bishop here so that my king is free to go do something else. Let's bring the king up here. And now I think we can just start pushing this guy. And I don't know. He wants to come here and use the bishop to stop that. So let's go ahead and bring my king up. Yes, let's do that. Okay, he's attacking that. So let's go here. Do I take that? Then I can sacrifice. Yeah, then I can sacrifice a pawn. All right, let's do it. There we go. So it's just too many pawns. But you see how it can be tricky, right, with the king and bishop blockading it. In this case, I was able to win, and I think that's generally the rule. If you have at least a 2-pawn advantage, even opposite color bishops, you're probably going to be able to win. But if it's only 1 pawn, usually it's not going to work out. And in my case, my pawns were nice and connected and very pretty. I didn't have like doubled pawns or isolated pawns or anything like that. So that helps as well, because they can help each other, and that's kind of important. So anyway, I hope you guys found that instructive. It's good to know that I can beat Stockfish in some positions. If you enjoyed this video, you should go watch this one next, where I talk about another game that I played where I had a complicated tactic, and I kind of talk through how I was thinking through that and ended up finding the right sequence of moves. But as always, stay sharp, play smart.